Good afternoon or good evening to you amazing fluffs, and welcome back to The Puff. The Puff is basically where I know I can't stretch out one topic to 8 minutes, so I just compile a handful of topics that interest me and I talk about them. Yeah, it's kind of been a while since I made a video for this series, but like a phoenix rising from the ashes, it will be reborn. So, to start off, I wanted to talk about the situation before, but since it's been updated, now I have a reason to bring this up. If you haven't heard about a TikToker named Zoe Laverne, let me catch you up to speed. Zoe Laverne is a 19-year-old TikTok star, and I mean that term very loosely, who has been caught in quite a few scandals during her time in the limelight. But about 3 months ago, Zoe Laverne was caught in 4K doing inappropriate things with a 13-year-old boy. Yeah, it's not looking good so far, but of course, it gets worse. Recently, she has announced that she was pregnant, which of course raises quite a few eyebrows considering 3 months ago you only kissed this boy, but ain't this you too, boo? I don't know about you, but that shit don't look appropriate to me and definitely doesn't look like it's just a kiss. Now, of course, I could be Armstrong stretching it here, but I feel like she's trying to damage control because she's announced her new boo a week ago and is claiming that he's the father. Now, hold on.
Wait a damn minute.
You announced your new boyfriend a week ago. You said that it's been a month since you had your cycle. And of course, I don't know how long you've had these symptoms, but how the fuck do you expect us to believe that this guy is the father of the child? Now, of course, if I'm wrong to believe this and you have adequate proof that what you say is true, then I'll believe you and I will apologize. Also, stating that people should mind their own business. It's a little hard to when you post stuff about your life onto the internet. Not sure how people aren't going to be nosy or a little judgy, especially when you involve yourself with a child. Just saying. And one more thing, and please, this is a little slide remark from me, and I apologize for it being a little too aggressive. But how can you make all this money on TikTok, but you can't afford birth control? Condoms, implant, the shot, the pill, the patch, like there are so many ways to prevent you from having this child because I feel like you're too young and immature to take care of one. But that's just me, and I'm gonna just move it on. Moving on to our next topic, this is also an update on ThatVegan Teacher. She has been banned off TikTok. Now look, I dislike her as much as the next person who just accepts people as they are and don't demonize them because we don't believe in or do the same thing. However, I can definitely say that she kind of did deserve the ban because of her spouting nonsense like coming out as a part of the LGBTQ plus community is a selfish act, or people that eat meat support the abuse of animals and other crap like that. It's a little bittersweet because, censorship is bad, but, whatever. Maybe stop being so dismissive, judgmental, and self-righteous, and then I'll take you seriously. Next topic that I have a gripe with is an Illinois State Rep, Marcus Evans Jr. He has introduced a bill that will ban the sale of violent video games, including Grand Theft Auto 5, and subsequently the 6th one of the series if they ever release it. I'm gonna need you to keep your crunchy, dusty fingers off my video games. First off, I am beyond exhausted over these politicians and older out-of-touch farts that are trying to say that violent video games are the root cause to excess crime in certain places, or they're the cause of tragedies like... Look, while we can all agree that kids are stupid sponges that'll soak up any and everything in their environment because that's how they're built, we are not going to sit here and act like absent parenting, or in other cases, poverty, aren't part of the problem. Also, sure, I guess you could say that the recent carjackings in Chicago could be the result of GTA, but, and hear me out, maybe it could also just be the result of shitty people doing shitty things because they're walking pieces of shit that can't do anything else but stink up the place and take up my precious oxygen. I'd love it if people could stop blaming video games. Last time I checked, all the same crap that are in these violent video games happen on TV and in movies. So if you don't want to have that conversation, move around. Y'all want to make these stupid ass bills? Where's my STEM check? How come people are still suffering in Texas right now? Why is it so difficult for y'all to do the jobs we asked or need you to do and get the big corporation out of your ass and wallet for you to actually look out for the people that put you in office? Until you do that...
We don't talk, okay? You're friends with monsters! Get the f*** out of here!
Next, let's talk about Sia. Recently, Sia has been getting some backlash from a recent film she came out with about an autistic girl dealing with life in her new movie called Music, which is the same name as the main girl, in quotations, in the film. Now, I have not seen the film, I'm not going to support it, nor am I an autistic person. But I have watched many videos from actual autistic people, and they have all said that this film is quite tone deaf, offensive, and stereotypical. I'm going to take their word for that, and I will link a few videos below that explain it, since of course they actually understand the topic at hand. I can understand the backlash, as I, like many others with some common sense, feel that telling the story of a group of people who have been largely misunderstood, without that voice of those people in said story to help others not knowing that story to understand them, makes no fucking sense. You can't sit here and tell me that your heart was in the right place or that you did enough research from this film when you partner with Autism Speaks out of all organizations to back your film. Ma'am, I am extremely disappointed in how dense you've been acting over social media from the dragging you rightfully received because of this film. You had one job to represent autistic people in an appropriate light, and you couldn't even do that. What makes this worse is that she changed her story on the creation process of her movie twice. At first she said, "Oh, I had casted an autistic lead, but they weren't comfortable with the work environment," which honestly, that doesn't make any sort of sense since you should have catered the work environment around them. Aren't you making a movie about an autistic girl? Like, maybe you should keep the autistic lead and make them feel comfortable so they can do the job that needs to be done so their voice can be heard. Maybe, I don't know. It would have helped you make the film better, but later on we found out that she wrote a role specifically for Maddie, and while I hope this wasn't the movie she was referring to, it gets a little hard to assume otherwise when she ends up casting Maddie in the role anyways, even despite Maddie's reluctance to play the role. Even she felt that this was wrong, and yet she was still forced to play it. It's been said that she cried after the first day of filming and told Sia that she didn't want anyone to feel as if she was making fun of them. Also, I'm just going to mention that Maddie doesn't deserve any of the harassment that she's getting in light of this movie. One, she is a child. She was 14 at the making of this film. So, don't do it. She was kind of forced to do this role anyway. And two, Sia wrote and directed this movie, meaning she had full control of the narrative. She is the one with the burden of responsibility on her shoulders, and she is the one at fault for not doing her due diligence. To top it all off, this film has been review bombed by both critics and audiences alike, as the film perpetuates harmful stereotypes like restraining an autistic child, which causes severe harm, so I don't know why you would do that anyway. And yet this movie has gotten nominated for Best Musical for a Golden Globe. If that makes sense. At this point, I'm getting very tired of lazy misrepresentations of misunderstood groups of people to keep happening while they pat themselves on the back for doing the bare minimum and getting rewarded for it, rather than reprimanded for the harm and continuous empty virtue signaling while not trying to make a change for the better. They just want to look righteous and morally correct without doing so. If you're too lazy to put in the work to do it right, don't do it at all. A half-assed job is more insulting than no job done. Finally, I want to briefly address the recent John, Swan, and Dream drama. This was blown way out of proportion, and it kind of sheds some light on the length some will go in order to keep a narrative going to make themselves seem as if they can do no wrong. Funny how trying to preserve a false image of yourself makes it slip even faster, doesn't it? My verdict on the whole situation? It should have been handled in private to begin with, but it also could have been ended much quicker had one party just told the truth. I'm not going to go into great detail here as I plan on diving into this in my next video. It'll be talking about the commentary community as a whole, no matter what subdivision of group you seem to fall in, whether it be beauty, gaming, reaction, tea, drama, whatever. If you call yourself a commentator of any sort, you will most likely be included. I've about had it with the way how some in this community have been acting both on stage and behind the scenes, and it's amazing how jarring the switch is. It kinda hurts, like, what? It will take me a while to make the video as there will be a lot of situations to cover and a lot of creators to mention, both big and small. I'm both excited and of course nervous to release this, as well as I'll be popping some ego bubbles. And I know some people aren't too fond of the truth. I'll probably get some confused or angry comments and whatnot. Look, I mean no ill will, and I will happily roll up a thick blunt for us all to puff, pass around, and talk about our frustrations and get through these issues as a community. As I've stated this before, this community means a lot to me, and I refuse to let it crumble because some have forgotten where they came from and let status, money, or reputation run the show instead of integrity and honesty above all else. But until then, I'll catch you beautiful fluffs later. Bye!